the Daily Grind. My name is Kelly Johnson. We are on episode 13 already, which is awesome. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce my special guest on today. She's a fellow University of Wisconsin-Madison graduate and part of the club tennis team, strategist and storyteller, poetry author, music enthusiast, currently leading content at Insight Software. She lives and works in the greater Minneapolis area, and overall, great person to have on our show. So welcome, Morgan Short. Woo!
Thanks, Kelly. I'm excited to be on the show, and episode 13. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're growing. We're gonna keep the ball rolling, and I'm so excited to have you on. It's been a while since we last talked or seen each other, basically, and so yeah, I'd like to see how you're doing. Super pumped as usual, and it just brings back talking to you brings back the memories from UW Madison days and the good times.
Those were great times. Yeah, we met on the club tennis team, and gosh, so many good times back then.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best days ever. That club tennis team was a saving grace. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. You played definitely a key role in forming our club tennis team and pretty much expanding it. And I still follow them on Facebook, and I hear every so often from some of the players that are currently on the team. And it sounds like things are going well. But yeah, listeners out there, Morgan and I, we met on the club tennis team at University of Wisconsin-Madison. I knew from the start that Morgan was an awesome individual, not just great at playing tennis, but overall wonderful personality, really friendly and welcoming in any group situation on or off the court. And I remember too, one of our greater like both of us were on the board, and one of the good memories was putting together our end of the year video, and like you were the key person in like creating that and making sure that went out. I can definitely I can just guess from then and there, like after your career at Madison, you're probably doing amazing stuff in the world right now. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for that intro, Kelly. Yeah. Right now, I guess what I'm up to is I am, like you said, I'm living in the Twin Cities, also where I was born and raised, and my 9 to 5, I am a lead content specialist. So I write and I strategize, I build and manage our content calendar at Insight Software, and we are a e-commerce platform for manufacturers and distributors. So that's what I do during the day. Mm-hmm. And after that, I basically, I do a whole, I have so many projects I like to work on. As you said, I am a published poet, and I do some publicity on the side and some photography and blogging, and I'm basically just a producer of all kinds of content. So that's what I'm up to right now.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more, like how you became interested in working in the e-commerce platform, like how you got into marketing journalism. Was that from at UW Madison or before college or right after, or?
Yeah, good question. So I guess I started writing when I write because I can't not write. I guess when I first went into college, I was thinking I would just kind of follow a path, like go business or go something like that, just something that would, make the money. But I was sitting in I think it was like journalism 201 or something, and I was like, holy smokes, I love this stuff. I love studying the effects of media on, psychology, and just how a story and messaging can influence somebody to do your desired behavior. I guess that's like what was super interesting to me. And so I just kind of went down the path of journalism and strategic communication. And I, like, ever since I was young, I have always just kind of like thought about a situation and been like, what is the story here? And I found in my career, I'm not just a writer, but I will find a story, whether it's in marketing or through poetry. I've found myself in in roles where I have to like find a story. So like I've renamed businesses. So finding the story there is like finding one word that describes a business, and then I've pitched. I recently worked with my sister-in-law. She wrote a book, and I helped with the publicity around that. So I was finding the story there about how do I pitch this to media outlets, and then I don't know. It's finding stories is what like fires me up.
Mm-hmm.
So I blog. I pour my emotions into poetry. I find like one of my favorite things I do in my day job is writing the stories about our customers and writing about how they've seen success with our company. So I guess that's just kind of like where it all started. I'm not always, like well spoken, as you could probably tell right now.
Doing a great job out there.
My thoughts and put a paper to pen. So that's that's where I that's where I found myself. I'm a story finder, I guess.
Yeah, story finder and teller. Like you said, you help provide content creation for various forms of media. Uh, your blog, paper, ebook, videos, photography. Yeah, just storyboards,
Yep. Yep.
website.
We just got done with our user conference last week. We're like on the heels of it, and that was so exciting. We had a bunch of customers come to Minneapolis, and I actually got to go around and interview them, do some like man on the street type videos, and go interview our customers on like how they were enjoying the conference, and then did some producing on the backside. We had a couple customers agree to do some videos for us, so I got to kind of wear my producer hat, and so that's going to turn into video. So it's just like content, 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 constantly.
Very well rounded. It helps helps tell the story. You have to have some content or something to illustrate what you're trying to preach out there or express, or for your client or whoever the target audience is, I guess. Um, do you travel a lot for your position with finding stories and storytelling?
I go on a couple work trips. I just got back from Chicago. Shout out.
Woo woo.
That's your city. I just got back from Chicago a couple weeks ago. Was at a conference there. But for the most part, I am chilling in Minneapolis. This year, I did some personal trips that were fun.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Nashville, went to New Orleans. Where else did I go? Those are the top ones. But
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go to for my marathon this December. It's in Mississippi, but I'm flying into New Orleans because the flight's cheaper. But yeah, I might have to hit you up after this podcast episode with some ideas and places to go and check out before. It's gonna be a short trip, but I've never been there before, so.
that's awesome. When's your marathon? In
It's
December?
yeah, December. It's December 15th, so I still got some time. I think I'm on.
Wow, okay, you are. You are always running, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm always running for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. I got the one in December. The reason I'm doing this one this year is because this is gonna be my third marathon. But I applied to get into Boston. I had a Boston qualifying time in May from my marathon I did in Cincinnati, and so I applied with that qualifying time, and I actually got accepted. So I'm gonna be doing Boston in April. So this is
Wow, that's
yeah.
huge. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. So this one's kind of helping me keep up to date with training, or at least running every week for the most part, and then hopefully I can get a little bit faster in December. One of my coworkers did this one like last year, the year before, and he's like, "Yeah, Kelly, this is a really flat course, and it's by the water too, so." And it's good. It's warmer there as well. It's like 60s, 70s, like all year, or at least in the winter. So I'll be good weather wise. And I love.
70s. We need more of that in our lives.
Yeah, sun. I get a little tan. That'd be great. Or yeah, refresh my tan. I'm starting to lose my tennis tan lines from the summer. So
We all.
so a good excuse to travel down there. And plus, like you, I like to travel and like go places and do fun stuff. So yeah, I don't travel too much for work, but make sure to have personal travel built into our busy schedules. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so totally worth it. I'm gonna be thinking about you when I'm running down there now.
Love it. Hey, you gotta do the stuff that fuels your soul. That's what I think. You gotta do it.
Yeah, I think so too. Other questions I have a ton of questions, but because I haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, so photography and your blogging. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I could talk about my photography and my blogging a little bit. Let's see. I first started photography when I was in high school. I took a independent study class, and I guess I just realized the teacher just kind of told me that I had a good eye, and I was like, oh. And then I bought a camera, a Nikon, and I started taking senior photos for some of my friends. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of like blew up out of nowhere, and they started paying me, and it started being a business while I was in high school. And I was like, wow, this like kind of came out of nowhere. But then I like made a site, and to be honest with you, I've gone a little bit away from um, promoting my photography just because I have other other pet projects that are, I would say, a little bit more important to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I just actually this past Saturday just did a shoot for a family, just a fall shoot, and I'm excited to edit those photos and check out how they turned out. But yeah, photography just kind of that started when I was so young, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and it took off for a while, and I was doing it on the side in college.
Mm-hmm.
Once I kind of established myself in my career, it started taking a little bit lower priority, especially once I started writing on the side as well. And in a perfect world, someday all of my hobbies and interests will just collide and
Mm-hmm.
be this beautiful thing. I'm working towards it. But yeah, so blogging, I guess I have had a diary since I was little, and I have journals and journals full of ideas and dreams and lists and goals and all that kind of stuff. I have different journals for every like anything you can imagine. I have a gratitude journal, a dream journal, multiple journals full of poetry. My favorite one is I have a little journal full of big ideas where on each page is just one single idea. Obviously, my phone and stuff, but I just have a intense desire to just write that down. Like anything I hear, I have to write it down. So I always have a notebook with me wherever I go, and blogging just kind of is that electronic way of journaling. So I'm a
Mm-hmm.
pretty open book. You can find a lot of stuff that I've written out in the world.
I like
um,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
that's where blogging came from.
That's awesome. Do you think like photography, like getting to that when you were younger, do you think that kind of influenced you, like, or pulled you in this direction towards like expressing your ideas via blogging or poetry or writing or sharing your story? Because
Yeah,
like, mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's a really good thought. Photography is another way of finding a story and telling it, right? It's just a visual way of doing that. And I think having to promote myself and build a community of people that were interested in my photography taught me some things about marketing and about advertising myself, and definitely like lent itself towards where I'm at now. I have an eye for like some some visual elements to storytelling along with actually writing it out. So yeah, I definitely think that finding an interest in photography when I was younger, even though our interest can shift a little bit as we go, has lent itself to where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're definitely an expert in what you do. With carrying like a notebook around, or do you have one like? Did you kind of just think about ideas like you had so many ideas on top of your head, or recording a lot of things that kind of forced you to bring that along, or you just want to capture everything and don't want to miss a beat and be able to use that for further content down the road?
Yeah, okay, so some people call themselves like serial entrepreneurs, right? I am like a serial ideation person. Like I have all of these ideas that I like want to revisit at some point, and I have like 50 ideas a day, and like two of them are good. So I like to write down as many ideas as I can, and that's why I have one little journal that I take with me everywhere, literally everywhere. When I travel, when I go to a music festival, when I'm at work, it's there with me, and that one comes with me everywhere. And the other ones are scattered around my room in every corner. I mean, I can't even tell you how many journals I have. They're everywhere. uh, I write because I can't not right. There's this year I started a morning pages journal. Have you heard of morning pages?
No, I haven't. Yeah, explain more. Mm-hmm.
So morning pages comes from I think the author is Julia Campbell. There's a book called The Artist's Way, and it's for people. Have you heard of this book?
No, I haven't.
So it's for creators, and she basically takes you through just a spiritual like path towards higher creativity. And one of the techniques in that book is morning pages. What you do is you write 3 pages a day. Typically for me, I write them in the morning, and it's just conscious stream of thought, like just whatever you're thinking about, whatever is happening that day, worries you have, just basically like anything that comes to your hand and to your mind, and you just write that constantly. And what it does for creative people is it unblocks you. It gets rid of that. It's almost like a creative meditation. It gets rid of that like those worries and the things that are blocking you from creating something that you're proud of. And it's been absolutely an amazing change that I made this
Mm-hmm.
year, thanks to that book. But that's one of my favorite journals I have right now, besides my little guy,
Mm-hmm.
is my morning pages journal.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how long have you been like journaling, I guess, or recording like in your books.
Yeah, so I have been writing since I was small. I've had a diary my entire life, and then obviously towards adulthood, diaries journals, because you don't want to be a little nerdy, melodramatic young girl.
Yeah, that's true. No, I had diary when
Yeah,
I was I
block on.
journal. Yeah, I had journal when I was younger too.
Yeah, but so publicly, I guess, kind of shifting focus to the more like recent stuff that I've been publishing out in the world and sharing it out in the world. Is that your question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, I've always been taking my thoughts and putting them to paper. But let me see when it was. I think. Yep. Okay. So on November 20th, 2017, which was the day after my 24th birthday, I posted my first poem on my personal Instagram account, because why the heck not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I'm like, Instagram, Instagram followers, what do you guys think about this? I just like posted it out there. Actually, I didn't even ask them what they thought. I just started sharing because I was like, I started seeing like creative things coming through on Instagram, and I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there. So I think it was like there's a poem related to my birthday, and I was feeling kind of low, I think, because the poem says she blew out the candles, but there was no wish, only quiet darkness. November 2017. Very, very emotional, melodramatic. But Um, I started writing a couple more poems toward the end of that year, and then in January 2018, I really kicked it into gear, and I decided to use my initials MRS as my pen name, and I was writing, pretty feverishly at the beginning of that year, mostly just, I guess, as an emotional outlet, because I am a feeler. I'm an empath, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel everything. ENFJ, if you're curious about my Myers Briggs. But
Mm-hmm.
my poetry started gaining traction, and I realized that there was a community out there that was really into it. And actually, there's a super supportive, wonderful poetry community out there on Instagram specifically that's very supportive and encouraging. And I started connecting with other poets that were writing, and I was like, holy, like there is so many cool, amazing, supportive people out there. And I went to a couple meetups. There's a Minneapolis group of poets. There's just so many cool, like, poetry people out there, and Instagram actually like really allowed me to share the creativity. I mean, we talk about all the negative impacts of social media, but Instagram is found I found it to be a really powerful platform to share my work. And actually, looking back at it when I was in my photography, Facebook was super powerful to spread that word. But anyway, back to poetry. I saw then, I guess it was like probably August of 2018. I saw a post from a publisher, or no, I think it was July. Anyway, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. So I saw a publishing call and an Instagram profile for a publisher about a anthology on mental health and addiction. And so I sent a brief hello and was just like, I think these three poems would resonate. Check them out on my profile. And then I kind of just forgot about it. I was like, I forgot I even sent that message to on an over Instagram. I mean, it's Instagram.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then on August 2nd, I got a message from the publisher, AB Baird Publishing, and said something like, "Hey, we're contacting you because we believe your, writing would be a great addition to our upcoming anthology. Let us know if you want to be a contributing poet." And I peed my pants. No, I was like, "What? Like, I'm like, there's no way that someone who just started sharing my poetry over the Instagram just to see how it would sit, and gonna be like a published, real, big time. I mean, not big time, but real poet." And then in November of 2018, Splintered Souls was published, and then this year I
Mm-hmm.
was more anthologies, Gratitude to Our Mothers and Steady Hands. They were Mother's Day and Father's Day anthologies, respectively. So, yeah, that's kind of the story of how it all happened. It's pretty funny that you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, and then things just happen, and you meet people or you
Mm-hmm.
interact with people, and the universe just kind of bends as you do things for yourself and put yourself out there, right?
Yeah, that's first of all, bravo. It's you are big time in my books, and to a lot of people out there, not just our listeners, but people haven't been listening to our podcast yet. They're yet to discover your works. Yeah, that's so crazy that you just like you you just came across that post, you responded, you totally forgot about it, and then they come back to you, and then whoa, it's awesome that different depending on what hobbies or interests you have, there's on social media now, which is great. You can meet up with people or that have similar interests or similar passions, and that's what you did. And I think that's awesome, and it's a really great story to present on this podcast because we're here to motivate a lot of people out in whatever industry that they're involved in. What inspired you to write? I guess to start Splintered Souls.
Yeah, so Splintered Souls is the anthology that I was a part of. The story that I just shared is the kind of the birth of it. the publishing company, they were focused on doing a project on mental health and addiction, and so they got they went out to a bunch of different poets, and we ended up being seven of us or eight of us. And Splintered Souls became this anthology of poetry dedicated to really dark times when you feel kind of alone. And it was a way to offer empathy and support and and really tell the story of what it's like to be in that depression and work yourself out of it. And yeah, it's seven other incredible women poets from around the world. And AB Baird Publishing did a really, really nice job, and I'm super honored and proud to be part of it. Especially alongside some of those authors. They are really, really gifted and talented, and yeah. So I guess the inspiration behind joining the anthology was just, this feels like the absolute right project to be part of.
Mm-hmm.
Especially having dealt with some, mental health issues in my own life, and seeing some of my friends and family suffer with mental health. It felt like the right timing, and I felt called to be part of it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Would you say your specialization is that type of anthology, or
Uh,
um,
so I don't know. That's a good question. I was also part of the Mother's Day and Father's Day anthologies. I think really it's just like poetry is just a way to share your raw, true, authentic self. And right now I'm actually working on my own collection that I hope to publish in 2020. That one is going to be a little bit more about my own life and my own heartache and joy. So we'll see. I don't think that I'm necessarily. I think that a lot of my inspiration comes from definitely the struggles that I've gone through in my life.
mm-hmm.
I write, but lately, especially as I've kind of shifted, just like in like how I'm showing up in the world. I would say I'm having to find different ways of being inspired, instead of, like the pain or the suffering. It's coming from I'm just like in a much happier place than I have been in past years. And so actually finding inspiration to write poetry is different now, because I'm not sad.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds good, but you're kind of like picking you're dipping into a part of yourself that isn't sad anymore. And so writing poetry is coming from a different place. There's just a different energy in it now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always a time and place uh, for that kind of project, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great that your life's going in the right direction. But yeah, you have a different. I like that you pull from your personal experience. I think that adds a lot of feeling and like heart and emotion into the words. I think it creates a really unique perspective, and it also gives your readers like a different view, or and then they can also interpret it or somehow relate it, or they relate it to their own life or personal experience or what they have came across with your works. I know I've seen a little bit on social media. um you're able to present these. Do you present these live? Do you go to different venues, or to share your story?
Um, Not currently. We the All of the anthologies are out on Amazon, that you can purchase from there. I have my parents did a book signing for me, a surprise book signing actually. That was pretty cool. I did a reading there, but I am working up the courage. As I said at the beginning of this podcast, I'm not always well spoken, but I can write my stuff down. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working up the courage to go do live, like, you know, open mic slam poetry or something like that. But right now it's pretty, I'm pretty much keeping it to the paper, and
Mm-hmm.
I am working on my collection right now. So this podcast, saying it out loud in the world,
Mm-hmm.
is gonna keep me accountable to getting that thing finished up. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way done with it. I was shooting for the end of this year, but I think it's gonna dip into 2020. I don't want to tell the title of it yet or give too
Mm-hmm.
much away, but it is a project I am working on. Yeah, right now I'm not, going to any
Mm-hmm.
venues or sharing it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to. I definitely am going to be doing more of that in 2020 as I look towards, my goal setting for the last, how many days left in 2019? Not that
Oh
many.
man, yeah, I'm not
Like almost
sure.
November.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. Like next week's like the last week of October. Yeah, I was
Oh my God.
gonna. It's like whoa, fall's going by pretty fast. Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably your goal or what you want to do possibly down the road is to do like the poetry live or
Yep.
whatnot. Yeah, you could even I could even foresee this too. You could combine your photography into it as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've thought about doing that. I share some of my photos, or I have in the past, on that same account, but I don't love the way that, like, text looks on top of photography. So when I try to combine it, what I'll do is I'll do like a photo with the poetry. Someday this is all gonna, like I said, someday all my interests are gonna overlap, and I'm gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Story Finder, and I don't know. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, for sure.
um,
I have faith in you. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And another big interest actually is that I've been trying to figure out what to do with lately is I this is kind of a nerdy thing, but I am super into dreams and interpreting dreams and lucid dreaming, and I keep a dream journal like I've read in it every morning. So I'm trying to figure out something to do with that too because I absolutely love it. So maybe you'll see something from me about that
Yeah,
someday.
stay tuned for sure. We just listeners out there, we just got a little sneak preview of what's to come from Morgan Short. So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna have to have you on the podcast again next year, possibly, so we can when the all releases. No pressure.
I'm one of I'm one of those daily grinders that has all of these ideas floating around, and these, like, I start things, and then I'm kind of bad. Like, I want to follow through, but I'm constantly producing, and it's hard. It's hard not to, as somebody that works, as a creator, a content creator, and then also loves creating content on, like, that's my hobby and my personal, the things that I want to do in my personal life. It's hard not to, place your value on the amount that you produce. Like, it's hard to remember you are not what you produce. Like you can do whatever you like you can give yourself a rest. You know what I mean? Like, I get in my head sometimes when I'm, like, creatively blocked, or when I'm not constantly producing, or I haven't written this that day, and you need to give your brain a little bit of a break sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need like a little relaxation or a break or just get your mind like just just like chill, I guess, if you'd say it in short terms. But you have to have a balance. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like,
Sure.
because I can tell that your work it does take a lot of like hard work and effort to produce what you produce.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find time for yourself, and whether that's personal travels or doing stuff outside your comfort zone, or yeah, just kind of doing different things. I try to find balance, for instance, like for running. I try to do yoga once a week, so that kind of gets me outside of. I mean, it's not an exact comparison, but it's something different. And then if I'm slammed at work or just outside of work with my nonprofit, just building up right now, for instance, on the turkey trot, our second annual turkey trot next month. Like, I know after this turkey trot, I gotta find a little bit of time for myself, or just to kind of like turn it down a notch in regards to high intensity all the time.
Yeah, the normal intensity.
Normal intensity. Act like a normal person.
No, I like to call it intense intensity and normal intensity.
I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that.
As doers, Kelly, you are one of the biggest doers I know. You're constantly running. You've got this podcast. You've got your nonprofit. You're running tennis tournaments. I mean, I feel like I just got invited to a tennis tournament by you, and you are a doer. You are one of those people that just goes and does, and I love it. Keep doing it. I am right there with you. And sometimes as doers, have to take the time to just like slow down a little bit, give yourself a little me time, light some candles, right? Like put a face mask on. And chill out, right?
Yeah, no, I got a candle going. I'm relaxed at this podcast. I'm in a comfortable position. I made some tea. I made some hot. It was like a hot cider tea. So listeners, you out there, you know, I'm on the sober October. So I have a few more days left of this before I can drink alcohol. So yeah, Morgan, it's been crazy. I've been
Oh, you're doing it sober October.
Yeah, add it to the list, you know. So I started it early, so my last day is Friday. So this Saturday I'm able to have my glass of wine or my spiked hot apple cider or whatever drink of choice. Basically, I'm still craving a lot.
What is the sober October?
What was the idea behind it?
Yeah.
To help promote this podcast and to give myself a really big challenge, go outside my comfort zone, which I have. I had a mid sober October recap. I think on episode 11, just talked about what I've faced so far and how I'm feeling. It definitely is a challenge because any social setting that you're in, as you mentioned before, I'm a doer, so I'm always on the go and meeting people and having a good time. And usually you have a good time with a drink in your hand or watching football or sports or whatever, or celebrating accomplishments, etc., etc. List could go on. It's definitely been a challenge. I'm so pumped to be done with it at the end of this week. Will I do it again? Probably not.
Hey, I did sober September last year, so I know how you're feeling.
Oh wow. Yeah. Wait. What was your outcome on? What was your outcome?
I did sober September mostly because I wanted to just be healthier. I was just feeling bogged down, and like I don't like being hungover, and I just wanted to be all around healthier and have a very, very fresh mind. So that's why I did it, and the outcome was it was good. It was a good experience. I would actually probably do it again. I don't know. I guess alcohol is just, it is what it is to me, but.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, sometimes like we mentioned before, like be relaxed or at the night. Sometimes you feel like, you know what, you earned it, glass of wine. I know, like I just came off of doing a 10K over the weekend, and of course, end of the race, beer tent, but I couldn't redeem my free drink because so
didn't you help out with the hot apple cider?
Yeah.
Was there spiked apple cider at that road?
Yeah. So so this past weekend I ran a 10K on Saturday. Earlier this year I volunteered at a race in the summer in Wisconsin. And me volunteering, I was able to get free entry into a future race. So it just fit in with my schedule to do this 10K over the weekend. And then I also signed up for I signed up to volunteer for the Hot Cider Hustle, I think it's called. I think that's the exact name of it. I just call it the Hot Cider Run, whatever. In Kenosha, Wisconsin. I helped volunteer because I signed up to do the Shorewood one this upcoming weekend. So I wanted to see how it went, or what the logistics are, and then me running my turkey trot. I kind of wanted to see, like, it's a similar seasonal event what I could add to my own race, what are good key takeaways basically. But yeah, they had like spiked apple cider. It was really cool. They gave away caramel apples as well. I had
Love
these
it.
really, yeah, so I really like the theme of it. It was really fun. They had a really great turnout. They had like over 600 runners, walkers, so really good. I had to wake up super early, but yeah, I couldn't drink after that. So, or I was
Uh,
watching other people. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend once I'm done. I like making this time of year mulled wine or spiked hot apple cider on the stove.
yeah,
So good.
love it. Love it.
So yeah, so that's what I'm missing right now. So, but I don't know. I would never say I wouldn't say never. I could maybe do sober October like down the road or something. I don't have like an urgency. I checked the box off already. So I did the challenge and I'm about to overcome it. Hopefully, knock on wood. Uh, that knock on wood. I make it for the next couple of days. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
October is a tough time to commit yourself to that too.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that do sober Januaries just to kick off the fresh year.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that do sober September. Summer is a tough time to do it.
Yeah.
It's like any time. If it's part of your lifestyle, it's hard to make shifts. But
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate and admire you doing it, and
Yeah.
I've been there before.
Yeah.
You'll have to give some updates about. You'll have to recap it for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your experience. Yeah, it's something different outside. I like to do different challenges, so it's one for the money. Yeah, the other people that I did with a group of like five other of my friends. One of them, she's gonna kill at it because she like found out she was pregnant basically the first week that she's doing this. So I was like, "How you doing?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm pregnant by the way, so killing it." Yeah. So not easy, not hard for her to accomplish. Yeah, I have two other of my friends. Basically, one of them opened up a bottle of wine and drank the whole bottle within like the first week, I think. Another one, he works in the restaurant hospitality arena, so he unfortunately failed it as well. Or
Yeah.
yeah, and then I have two other people still left in it with me. So I've yet to see who all can make it to the finish, basically. I guess. Also, too, I listen to like the Joe Rogan podcast, and they always do sober October or a different challenge. So I got inspired from other podcasters out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. That's my excitement for the month of October. I felt so bad this past weekend too with Wisconsin playing Illinois
Oh yeah.
football. That was so
That was
tough. That was really tough. But yeah, with Wisconsin, they're playing at University of Minnesota end of November, I believe, for football. For the Axe game.
yeah, the axe game. And as a Badger in a home of Gophers, I like when we win. That because rights. So we better win that because I am surrounded by Gophers, and I live in Minneapolis, and I am a huge Badger fan. So we better win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this upcoming weekend's gonna be pretty intense too. Going for the away game at Ohio State. A lot of big teams still on our radar. Or I feel like they're still pretty big since with our past loss to Illinois, which was unranked. So we'll see how it goes. I guess going back into poetry, I forgot to ask. Do you have any, Morgan? Do you have any like favorite books, like works, like authors or artists that you follow, help inspire you to write?
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite book of all time is Doom Key by Stephen King, and then I also love She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb. Those are probably my two favorite books. And then for poets, I would say Cindy Sherry. These are a little bit more modern poets that I probably am inspired by, more so than, like your traditional poets. So Cindy Sherry, Rupi Kaur, Amanda Lovelace, but then I gotta give a shout out to the poets that I was featured alongside in Splintered Souls. So Emily Adams, Ashley Brown, Eloise, Maya, Abby Forrest, Ellen Steele, and Miss Finn Poet. So those are all some of the poets that I got to. My work was featured alongside, and gosh, they are all so talented, and they all have such different, just like they're they just have different works. It's really cool to see the the breadth of work from each poet. So definitely go check all of them out. I got to see Rupi Kaur in Minnesota. I think that was earlier this year. She came on tour, and she's a beautiful poet. Yeah, I'm sure your listeners will know. Some of your listeners will know who she is. She's I don't know. Have you heard of her?
Her name sounds familiar. I've never met her in person, but I think I've maybe read some of her stuff.
Yeah, her poetry collection Milk and Honey is pretty famous. It she wrote it when she was in college. I believe she self published it, and she kind of like started a movement, honestly. Of There's a lot of Rupi Kaur, like, the people that are inspired by her, and people that are like motivated and inspired to share their own work, because she kind of brought poetry back, like brought a new life to poetry, and kind of made it modern. I would say there are some like people out there that are, you know, doing this similar things that she kind of paved the way for.
Mm-hmm. You said she's based out of Minneapolis. What about the other poets that you worked with? Where are they from?
So she is not based
Oh,
out of.
sorry.
I just got to see her when she was on tour.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Splintered Souls. All of the authors in Splintered Souls were like from all over the world. Poet Publishing found found us all like over the like basically just found a community of people through Instagram.
Do you see yourself in the future like collaborating with other poets?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Being part of an anthology is so it's just so it just brings me it just feels very purposeful, and like you're part of something bigger than yourself. So I definitely see myself collaborating more, and I just really need to like put myself out there as far as like meetups and open mic nights, and really network in person, because there's so much value to like actually getting out of your comfort zone. To be of our talk. um, Getting out of your comfort zone, and going, and I want to challenge myself to do a spoken word and go do it, even if it's just starting like doing a live on my Instagram or something, like I want to do it for sure. So
what do you have for like advice out there for our listeners who are possibly interested in like sharing their story via writing, or even if they were to do something that's like poetry live, or kind of expressing their work, like what's like how could they start, or like so how could they network out there, or is there resources?
I would say dive in head first, because the more you talk about it, the less like you just talking about it isn't going to do anything. I mean, as you started a podcast, right? Like you were just like, I'm going to do like there's no right or wrong way. Like a lot of times we can get in our own way because we're scared, because we have fear. It's like just like on the day after my birthday in 2017, I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there and see what happens. And that's kind of what happened with my photography too, like I think my advice would be to get out of your own way. Like just don't be or no, be afraid, stand in your fear, and then just do it anyway. Like it's okay to be afraid. Just go for it. Do it afraid, right?
Yeah.
Like fear is a completely normal emotion. Just do it afraid, and then move past it and get it done. I'm like constantly scared. Like how, right? Like and especially for people that are creators, for your listeners out there that are creators, it's so easy to let fear paralyze you, like being scared of how people will react to your work. But as long as you're doing it for yourself and it comes from a place that's true to you, I think it just, you'll see how the world bends for you when you do that. Like if you do one good thing for yourself, I think the universe will do two good things back for you. It's just like what I've found, especially this year from making so many changes in my life.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard from any of your followers out there in the world, like, hey Morgan, I read your work, or this has really
Yeah,
inspired me? Do you have any like
yeah.
stories to share, like
Oh my,
recent?
yes. That those messages are like the most incredible thing. And I know when people start to gain bigger following, sometimes they can get a few, like a few downers, but a few haters,
Mm-hmm.
but,
Yeah, yeah.
but but the messages that you get, like this touched me, or I had a friend reach out and say this feels like the beginning of a book. It really resonated with me. I actually had a girl a few years back that reached out to me and told me that she got a tattoo of a word that I shared in a blog, the Serenity Prayer, which is a prayer that I use all the time. It's in a lot of recovery program. Um, it's in a lot of recovery programs. It's the Serenity Prayer, and I wrote about it and shared that I, use that prayer constantly. And she actually messaged me and told me that she got a tattoo of that word on her body. And like hearing that kind of feedback and knowing that I'm inspiring even like a single person makes, my time in this world so much more meaningful to me. Like it's beyond me. It's greater than me, and it feels so amazing to hear that feedback, and it definitely keeps me going. So yeah, I would say yes.
Wow, that's really powerful. Did you
Mhm.
have like an end goal in mind with your works, or via Instagram or publishing, et cetera, storytelling, story finding? What's
Yeah,
what you wanna get out of it, or what you wanna share with the world?
I want to be who I want to share me with the world. I want to like be as open as I can be, because whatever you're feeling, there's got to be somebody out there that can feel it with you. And I think I think sharing your passions and your loves and your hates and your desires and all of that, like be like opening up entirely, is the way that you can inspire and just, like I think that's how you can inspire people. And if you just show up as who you are, I just think it can work wonders for you to just like actually be you and not worry about anything else. My end game is just to keep doing what sets my soul like on fire. Like I want to keep doing. I want to find my vocation and figure out why I feel so moved to tell stories. I think, and I want to keep telling them. I don't want to stop.
We like that. We like you continue to
Yeah, keep doing it.
you're changing a lot of people out there, individuals. You're influencing people on different communities. Super
Oh,
powerful message that you just said. I'm definitely, yeah, from this podcast, I'll probably re-listen to this episode not just a few times, a handful of times.
oh,
Uh,
good. Yes.
super motivated as a daily grinder, um, as we're both daily grinders. Getting,
Yeah, we are. We are both doers. We're
yeah,
constantly going, right?
both doers, both doing a lot of things out in the world. Daily grind. So Morgan, what's on your daily grind coming up?
On my daily grind. I feel like that's a loaded question, but my daily grind depends on the day. And to be honest with you, in the spirit of honesty and true me, some days are more productive and I'm grinding harder than others. And then, like we all like to boast about our best days where we get up in the morning and work out and do our morning meditation and drink water and
Mm-hmm.
do our morning pages and stretches and all that. But like this morning, to be honest, my body was craving more sleep, so I slept and slept until the last minute I had to get up to go to work. But on a perfect day, on a perfect day, I would wake up, right? I would wake up around 6 a.m. Record first things first. I record my dreams every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast, drink some coffee, write 3 morning pages, do a little meditation and stretches, read a page from my daily reader, and then hit up work and try to block my calendar for production time versus meeting time. And then afterwards, do a workout, maybe meet up for dinner or coffee with a friend. Then, whatever time is left in the day, reflect, write my gratitudes down, do a little bit of goal setting for the next day, and do it all over again. Coming up, things that I'm excited for. I'm working on my poetry collection, hoping for 2020 release. And here like I said, at work, we just got done with our huge user conference. So things are back to the normal level of insanity instead of the insane insanity. And what else do I have coming up? I'm really excited. November is my birthday, and I'm really excited to just take some time to like do things that I love. Hit up a couple shows. The Twin Cities has an amazing, absolutely amazing music venues all around. So I'll definitely be hitting those. Have a huge passion and appreciation for music. So you got to work your passions into your grind too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm actually coming off of my first ever, in true Kelly spirit, my first ever half marathon.
Yeah.
September.
Yeah. So, I wanted you to talk a little bit more on that. So how'd you feel after your first half marathon? I was so pumped when you posted. I was like, oh my God, Morgan just killed it.
Yeah. So yeah, this year, so I've lost 60 pounds.
Oh wow.
I've lost 60 pounds since my heaviest I've ever been, and I trained for the half with my mother. She was absolutely the most amazing running partner out there. She was with me every step of the way, and I was not a big runner before, but I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and I wanted, when 2019 started, I made a 19 for 2019 list, and I set out to do every single one of those 19 things in 2019, and a half marathon was one of them. So I did it, and I'm proud of it, and I'm a doer.
Yeah.
I felt so good after it was done. I had an amazing cheer squad come out. Like, I was like, why are there so many people here to watch me run? To watch me literally just like die. It was amazing. It was one of my proudest, honestly, probably one of the proudest moments I've had in my life so far, just because it's something I never thought I would do. I was always like, ew, like if I marry into one of those families that runs 5Ks on Thanksgiving, swear to God, I've heard that joke somewhere. It's not mine, but I can't remember. But I was like, that resonates with me so much. And then all of a sudden now I'm like, Mom, want to do a turkey trot? And I'm like, who am I? Who have I become?
You're one of them. No, that's awesome. Yeah, congrats on your half marathon.
Thank you.
Also, yeah, with your passion for music, what music festivals have you recently gone to, or any stories you'd like to share on that?
Okay. Yeah. So, music. So most recently, I went to Electric Forest. I went to Voodoo in New Orleans. The Cities 97 Basilica Block Party. Noda, which is a EDM festival in Minneapolis. 515 Alive. I hit up as many festivals as I can, and I have a running list of artists that I've seen on my phone, and I've actually seen since 2016, I've seen well over 200 artists live.
Wow.
So I just I just fully believe in spending money on experiences and what you love. Like, you can't, like, so much so that I actually have concerts and live music line itemed out on my personal budget. It's just like I feel like it's so important to have those passions worked into your life. Like, it's not always all about grinding. Like, you have to go enjoy it. So I love EDM, but I also get down with like folk, alternative blues. So like Nora Jones, Dave Matthews, Ray LaMontagne, Mumford and Sons. I love classic entertainers, you know, like Michael Jackson and Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super big into EDM, which I never. EDM was one of those things where I was like, I don't get the hype. And then I went to my first EDM show, and I was like, wow, this like just like the people and the crowd, music just moves you. Like, music has a way of moving us, and you can turn to music for any mood or situation.
Mm-hmm.
So though I though I regretfully only contribute to music mostly for my appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have very many musical skills. I danced for 13 years growing up, and I dink around on the ukulele sometimes. My contribution is mostly appreciation, but music is just like, I just love it so much.
Yeah.
And so many great venues in the Twin Cities. Got to give a shout out to some of those, like First Ave, the Armory, Fine Line, Skyway. Actually, there's a new venue opening like right down the street from my work called the Fillmore, and I am so pumped. I will be there so many weekends come 2020 when it opens.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like really close to you. Do you think Minneapolis is a pretty big hub for like music or
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean,
for live music? Mm-hmm.
First Ave, so many huge entertainers have performed there, and there's bigger venues too, but I prefer like the more intimate settings, just where like they're just like jamming out, and that's where you see the true stuff come through.
I can believe it. Yeah, I gotta put Minneapolis on my list. I gotta come visit you sometime soon.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
it's been a while. Yeah,
it really has.
yeah. I think the last time I was in Minnesota was the the football stadium was still being built or was still under construction.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been I'm due for a trip. I like to travel, so gives me an excuse.
Well, hit me up if you're ever in the Twin Cities.
Heck yeah. With your music love as well, do you listen to different types of music while you write or in the background, or does that have somewhat of an inspiration, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I have so I use Spotify. I have different playlists for different moods and for different purposes, but my playlists are like chill flow. So I like listen to that chill sort of electronic stuff when I'm writing, or when I'm producing at work. You know, like I have like a think and drive playlist that I'll use just like when I'm driving and when I'm like doing some deep thinking. But then I have, you know, like you have playlists for like every single thing you work on. Mm-hmm. I would love to work or do, you know, like marketing for like a music venue or something like that. I might look into doing some like volunteering, just like offer marketing services, or, you know, like that kind of thing too. Music is one of my huge fiery passions of mine. I just appreciate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
But it can definitely inspire some writing too.
Mm-hmm. Morgan, as we're getting to a close, how can our listeners follow you or reach you after this podcast? Like learn about more about music, poetry, anything we talked about, marketing, storytelling.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at mrs_poems, or you can find me on my personal blog, which is morganrochelleshort.com. And then I also have a marketing portfolio that I'm currently in the works of kind of revamping because it doesn't really have all of my most recent work up. You can find me there on morganshort.com. Eventually those will probably just, Morgan Rochelle Short and Morgan Short will probably become one. But you can find me there, or feel free to honestly just like connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email. Like, I love talking about poetry, writing, music, marketing, any of that. So
Mm-hmm.
send me a note on LinkedIn or email me at mshort@uwalumni.com. But definitely, probably my most utilized platform right now is that Instagram handle at mrs_poems.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be for sure to have Morgan's contact info in our show notes for today. Also, Morgan, do you have a word of the day for our listeners out there?
Yeah, I gotta go with gratitude. If you live gratefully and show up in the world grateful for like even the tiniest things, you'll just see so much joy and meaning and purpose, and just like put like making your being intentional and writing down what you're grateful for every day is just it changes. I gotta go with gratitude for the
Mm-hmm.
word.
Well put. I like it. Thanks again, listeners out there, for tuning the Daily Grind. Thanks for having Morgan Short on our podcast episode for today. When it comes to sharing the Daily Grind story, you can follow us our website, www.kjfwi.org/the Daily Grind, all hyphenated. You can listen to our podcast episodes, this one as well as our previous ones, on YouTube. Subscribe via the playlist. We're also on Spotify, iTunes. Hit me up on Twitter at Kelly J Lefty, or DM me on Instagram at that Kelly J Lefty as well. So thanks again to everyone out there for tuning the Daily Grind, and have a great day.